So this page actually already exists to file a complaint, but this page does not have the option for dust control permitting. On July 1st, it will also have this option. So if you've ever filed a complaint on our system, this is the same page. Okay, so the very first thing you want to do when you get here is create an account. So you'll click here, you'll enter in this information, and you'll select save. I've already created an account for myself, so I'm just going to go ahead and sign in. This is not like a real account. What you're seeing here is what it will be, but this is not the, this is just our test environment. This is not the actual web page of the program. Okay, so you're going to sign in here and you're going to see something similar to this. It will not have this download payment voucher because I've already submitted some permits on my own account. So you're not going to see this and you won't see any permits in here. So you're just going to see a raw page. It'll just have these 3 tabs and it'll have this blue bar. Okay. So that is the first thing that you would want to do. Okay, let's go. All right, so let's talk about this. First, let's talk about this landing page. What you see on this landing page, you've got 3 different tabs. You have your permits tab. This will be any draft permits or permits that have been issued. And what I mean by a draft permit is our permit reviewer has completed their review. They submitted it for processing. It's with admin to process. So it's approved, it just has to go to through the administrative portion of the process. And then you'll see all of the approved permits. The second tab is your applications tab. So this will show you the applications that were submitted and it'll show you a status of them. We'll go over the status buttons a little later at the end of the presentation. And then the last tab here is apply for a new permit. Now what I'm going to talk about is all of these different status buttons. I'm going to exit out of this account. I've created a couple of dummy accounts for myself because, you know, I wanted to test out a bunch of different things. So I have a couple of dummy accounts and I have a lot of different statuses on this account, okay? So the first thing I do want to mention here is, you'll notice at the top, download payment voucher. So this is where all of your outstanding balances will be, right? Every permit we issue, we will log in a request for payment. On your account, you're going to see download payment voucher. Each time we ask for payment on each permit, you're going to see a different download payment voucher. I am going to click on the button. Sometimes it takes a second on my computer because it loves me so much. I don't know why I just did that, but that's okay. I am not working on my own computer. This computer is a very general computer, so yeah, it doesn't have all of my same features or settings or savings. Okay, this is what your payment voucher will look like. So this is not your invoice. Your invoice you're going to get still with that final email after we've issued your permit. This is a payment voucher. So this is saying we've issued you this invoice number for this project. You are the permittee and you owe us this amount of money. It'll never be $2,000 because our permits are $166 an acre. Oh, and this doesn't mean if you're with McCarthy and you're on here, this doesn't mean you haven't paid this. Like, I'm sure you have paid it. This is old data that we're working with. So yeah, completely disregard like that. But this is a payment voucher and you can always print this out and cut it and mail a payment with your check, or you can print it out and bring it in, or you don't have to print it out. Just make sure you have the invoice number on your check or the invoice number with you so that you can provide it to the front counter staff when you're making your payment, right? And you can call in to our front counter and make the payment with them with a credit card, which this is our main number. When you call this number, you reach our main counter, our front counter. Okay. So then let's go in our applications tab and let's talk about these status buttons. Okay, when it says complete, it means it means one thing. Your permit, no, it means one of two things actually. Your permit has been reviewed and submitted for processing, okay? It will then either show up on your permits tab as an effective permit or as a draft permit. Because like I said, it's been submitted for processing to admin. Once admin processes it, it's just effective. Yes, Heather.
How long after the payment is made before the button disappears?
Okay, so what our process is going to be in phase 3, we're going to have our two systems talking. You guys will not know what that means. But for us, we use a different we use a different system for our finance than we do here. So it's going to be basically a manual process for us. So at the beginning of every day, we're going to look at the previous day's cash receipts and we're going to post the payments like that. In phase 3, they're going to be talking, well, during phase 3, which is going to start up sometime in July, we've requested that they start talking to each other. And so then it will be almost immediate. But it will basically be 1 day or 2 days. Okay. Okay. So your permit application shows as complete on your applications tab, and it will either show effective. That means that admin has processed it, or it's going to show as a draft, which means that it is in admin's queue to process. Admin processes it within an hour or 2 of receiving it from the reviewer. You guys might never see this draft status button, almost ever. Because once it's been submitted for processing, it's a very quick admin turnaround. Okay. All right, so oftentimes, okay, so let's go back into here. That's what the complete button means. In review, so received means that you have submitted it and it's in the queue, but nobody has touched it yet. In review means you've submitted it, it's in our queue, and a permit reviewer has grabbed it to review it, okay? There's another button, I don't know if I have withdrawn. That often happens if if you submitted an application that is a double permit, you submitted an application for an area that's already permitted, the permit reviewer will contact you and you guys will have a conversation and you'll be like, okay, I'll contact the other person, go ahead and cancel my permit app. And by canceling it, we're basically withdrawing your permit application. That doesn't mean that happened with this. This is all like fake old data. So, and then the last status that you'll see is, and I don't know if I don't have an example of that, incomplete. Okay. After the permit reviewer has grabbed it, it shows in review. They have completed their review. It's either going to be complete because the permit's good to go, or it's going to show incomplete, which means they have to contact you for additional information. Yes, Heather.
If it says incomplete, can I click on that application to see what's incomplete? Or
you cannot. Okay, so Heather's question is, can the external user see what is incomplete on their application? So in this phase of the project, so phase 2, all of our communication is going to be outside of the system, right? So when the permit reviewer has reviewed it and they have determined that they need additional information, they are still going to send you an email. You will respond to their email. Okay, so their email will say what is not complete. You'll respond to their email. They will update it on the internal side of the system, and then it will show as complete. But it will show as incomplete until the issues that they've identified have been resolved. Okay, so permits. Let's take a look at the little status buttons under permits. Okay, so oftentimes you may see this. This is the permit number, right? and then you'll see .2.3. So mod 2, mod 3. That's in our world, right? So it's version 2, version 3. This permit was renewed. This is now the effective permit. You'll notice you only get the view button for the previous permit. For the effective permit, you get all of the buttons. Now, if you submit a, how do I want to say this? So right here for this permit, this is still the effective permit because it has not expired, but there's an application that was put in that has been approved that will supersede this permit once it has been processed by admin. You can click on view and it's just going to show you submitted a revision and that it's in draft status. Okay. As far as the permit closure, you will see a couple of different things. If you submit a permit closure and the permit closure has been approved for closure, you're going to see closure request approved, and it's going to show a status of closed. When you click on the view button, if it's been submitted after July 1, you'll see the whole download permit here still, and you'll see status is closed. And then you'll see some closure notes, and this is like fake stuff that I entered. So I wrote here less than a quarter acre of disturbed soil remains is the correct field. So this is what was left at the end of the project, and the project was closed. But sometimes you will have your permit closure denied. Okay, hold on, let me take a look. I had an example of that one. And the reason that you would have your permit closure request denied is, say you submit your permit closure form and you have areas that are not built out, you're going to leave them as dirt, and the compliance officer has determined that you have not stabilized them for long term. They will deny your permit closure request. And what you will see is closure request denied on your permit. At that point, you will be able to renew it, revise it, or close it again, right? If you click on view, you will see the last determination that was made. The request was denied. Long-term stabilization has not been applied to the remaining dirt areas, approximately half acres. That should be half acre typo, my typo. So at that point, your closure has been denied, so you're going to have to decide, am I close to my expiration date? Okay, well, let's take a look here. Let's view my permit. Oh, I should have just clicked on that. It expires in October. Okay, so now you have to make that decision. All right, I'm going to stabilize it, and for long term, I'm going to have a conversation with the compliance officer. I'm going to stabilize it for long term, and I'm going to resubmit my closure form, right? Now, when you press on that close button, it is going to show what you previously had selected. If that is not what applies, so right here, long-term stabilization was not applied. So this was not the correct field. This is the field that we should have selected, and then you can submit. Yes.
How long does the permit stay in your account, no matter the status, if it's expired, closed, effective, etc.?
So it stays in your account, I think, indefinitely. You know what? We've never had that conversation with the with our software developers. So for right now, it'll be indefinitely. Now, can you ask us to remove you as a user? Sure, you can ask us to do that. So say you have a permit and it's been closed and you don't want to see it ever again, which you may or may not want that. You might want to keep your permits available for yourself for the future. But if you never want to see that permit again, you can certainly contact us and say, hey, I don't want to be the user on this permit anymore, and we can just take you off, and then you won't see it in your queue anymore. Not that it won't exist, it will still exist in the world, in our system. It just won't be in your account.